ambulance! Location, Chumboy-Seo River.
There's always room for an extreme situation. Usually, it's the weather.
When we take off, we can never be sure that we are coming back at all.
The only thing I remember is my brother and husband carrying me. Everything else was like in a dream.
And she bowed to the dwellers of the rawhide tent and said, "Stop this storm, or my people will die." And the storm stopped.
Deer breeder Mikhail Vanoita set his traditional Nenets tent, the chum, in one of the most distant areas of the Arctic Peninsula, Yamal. There's nothing for many kilometers all around but a desert of snow. Breeders cross the tundra with their herds of domestic deer in search of new pastures. They'll cover hundreds of kilometers a year, regardless of the weather. A deer breeder's passport just says Yamal Tundra, instead of a regular address with a house number and street.
I was born on this land. My father lived here, and after he died, I took his place. I inherited his herd. My brothers and I divided it between us.
Mikhail's two sons help him in the tundra. Eduard, the eldest, and his wife Nadezhda have two daughters, 3-year-old Alina and Daria, who's 6. The young family is awaiting a new arrival.
Of course, we'd like a boy.
The expectant mother has a congenital heart disorder. She's due to give birth any day now and needs urgent help, but here in the tundra, whether or not the air ambulance arrives on time depends entirely on the weather. Contact with the outside world is very limited. Mikhail has no satellite phone and has only recently acquired a mobile. But as there's no signal in the chum, it serves mainly as a toy for Mikhail's granddaughters.
I don't understand it. I try to learn how to use it, but this little girl doesn't have to. She knows which buttons to press, while I have no idea how to use the phone.
To find a mobile phone signal, you have to travel 20 or even 40 kilometers through the tundra to the nearest settlement. Sometimes the Vanoita family has to travel deep into the tundra where there's no contact at all. They have to take a position fix regularly, as the possibility that Nadezhda will have to be taken to hospital grows stronger by the hour. Mikhail sends his younger son to relay their coordinates.
Sayaka ambulance receiving.
Hello? Air ambulance.
Your location, please.
The Chumboy-Seo River, below the middle reach.
But the flight to the Vanoita family is postponed. Another deer breeder's wife has just given birth in another part of Yamal.
Can you tell me your surname?
Don't forget to take flashlights.
Blankets, everything's ready.
Did you get the obstetrical kit?
Yeah, it's ready.
Ravil, can you please check if you'll fly to get patient Surko?
Okay.
Sayaka ambulance. Okay, we are coming to you today, but we also have to visit another woman who's giving birth.
Okay, let's go.
Each sortie is an intense experience. An hour's flight costs almost $4,000. So taking an aircraft out to assist only one patient before returning to base is not a cost-effective exercise. That's why the doctors always plan the route in consultation with the pilots, after finding out in advance who else might need their help on the way.
How many people will we have? 7. We got 6 so far.
Any changes to the planned route will depend on the weather. Deep in the tundra, it can change as often as every half hour.
When we take off, we can never be sure that we're coming back at all. We think everything through carefully, of course, and never let ourselves give in to panic.
The air ambulance's first stop. The helicopter lands near Achum, where a baby girl was born just a few hours ago.
Okay, give me the baby. A girl, oh, it's a girl.
125/80.
Yes, that's right, 3 kilos.
She's a fat one.
Fat? That's good.
We'll give you an injection on the helicopter. Can you walk?
Now we'll go to a maternity home, okay? Where's the cover? Give it here.
Here.
Put her on the blanket. Life for women as chum keepers in the tundra is hard. If she is able to work, she will, regardless of the pain. Unlike us Europeans who have local doctors, they have no one to turn to for help in the tundra, so they wait like that poor mother over there. She worked while she could. They know that the air ambulance is there for them and believe that the doctors and nurses will always come. They hope we will be able to help them.
It's not uncommon for the air ambulance doctors to deliver babies on board the helicopter.
Once a woman called us because she had a fever. And when we were approaching, she said her contractions had started. It was her 9th child, so I decided to take her to the base to get the medicine she needed. Besides, you can always do with an extra pair of hands. It took us about 50 minutes, and as soon as we landed, she gave birth to the child.
Whenever air ambulance workers fly to help someone, it's always a noble undertaking.
Vera Charateta is a pediatrician. She used to work in a town hospital, but quit her job after deciding that, as a native Nenets, she needed to return and be close to nature and her ancestral traditions. No matter how far these indigenous northern people may travel, there's always something that draws them back to their homeland.
I nearly dropped it. Our people believe it's a great sin to spit or even drop something in water or fire. I'm a daughter of the tundra. I always roamed here in the past, and every time I left, I felt bad. I said to myself, I will go back to the tundra.
Nenets people believe that energy from the earth and sky helps them survive in the tundra.
Look at the snow. It's falling, dancing. People should get energy from the earth from time to time. We always walk upright and don't get much of its energy. And keep your arms raised. After a while, you'll feel a slight sting. Now this energy can send you to space.
Before air ambulances existed in the tundra, the people called on shamans when they needed medical help.
The Nenets seldom ask the skies for help, only on extraordinary occasions. Usually it's better to turn to your own domestic gods. Everyone has amulets at home. Sometimes when I feel bad, I shake them and ring the bell. And that's how I communicate with my own gods.
Come on, show me. The nail, it's the nail.
The nail is sticking out. Must have been quite an axe blow.
Move your finger. Can you move it? Do we have disinfectant? Don't move now, please. I'll do everything. It'll be absolutely fine. Don't worry.
On this day, the doctors have already descended from the skies on 3 occasions. But they weren't able to visit dear breeder Mikhail Vanoita's family. They simply had no time. Morning weather in the Yamal tundra changes again. The cold is beyond freezing. The temperature is already minus 30 degrees Celsius. There's a chance, though, that the air ambulance will finally take Mikhail Vanoita's pregnant daughter-in-law to hospital. Despite her heart problems, Nadezhda keeps working. The children are out in the tundra too. Out here, a runny nose is no reason to stay inside. Overnight, the deer roamed several kilometers into the tundra, and Mikhail Vanoita's eldest son, Edward, is sent out to look for them. He left several hours ago, but Mikhail has nothing to worry about. He knows that his son will never get lost.
Oh, I'm so tired. In the tundra, we don't need a GPS to find our bearings. We use the stars. If the pole star is on my right shoulder, it means I have to go in this direction. The Nenets were born with navigation system in their heads. We've learned it from childhood.
In winter, daylight only lasts about 2 hours, so everything has to be done quickly. The deer that Edward has brought back from the tundra are now being driven in a circle because the men want to catch the leaders so that the rest of the herd will follow them. This is a tried and tested technique. Specially trained herding dogs make sure that no animal falls behind the herd, which gradually moves into a makeshift enclosure formed of sledges. Inside, it's easier to select the deer that are most suited to pulling those same sledges. It's an everyday job, but it can be dangerous for both adults and children.
When you stay here, you have to be alert the whole time. A deer might jump out at any moment, and then you could find yourself under its hooves, and that will really hurt.
Even so, the nomads' main concern is not their own health, but that of the deer.
Now they're going to catch a she-deer. They say there's something wrong with her eyes.
Her eye hurts. It's tobacco. We've been doing it for ages. If you don't apply tobacco in time, she'll lose her eye.
The lady of the chum is always responsible for laying the table. The diet is mostly made up of frozen raw fish and meat, especially venison, which contains no cholesterol or fat and is rich with vitamins and minerals that are indispensable in these severe northern conditions. It's widely believed these nomads never suffer from scurvy because of the venison they eat so frequently. Fresh fish is almost a delicacy. This was a rare catch. The Nenets will eat their fish raw too, but there's something else that the children enjoy much more. Once again, a strong snowstorm descends. In these conditions, the air ambulance can't fly.
Last year, a woman left her chum during a storm and got lost. Couldn't find her way back. Her body wasn't found until autumn. She'd fallen into a ravine and froze to death.
During his endless cross-tundra wanderings, Mikhail Vanoita has lost several of his chess pieces. With those that remain, the men manage to play checkers, while his granddaughters play a different game. They draw themselves and the deer.
Here, I will draw Alina.
There's an old Nenets fairy tale. Once upon a time, there was a great snowstorm that lasted for 7 days. It was so strong that no one could even step outside the chum. There was one man who lived in the tundra, and he said to his daughter, "Only you can save us. Go to the snowstorm's youngest son. If you don't save us, no one will, and we'll all die."
The same weather that hit the tundra has fallen on the village where the air ambulance takes off. Data is being collected at the meteorological station.
Wind direction 210 magnetic, average speed 16, gusting 20, horizontal visibility 500 meters, general snowstorm.
The Met report reads like a death sentence. It's not safe for the helicopter to fly. They say the pilot in command, Sergei Shkola, knows every mound of the tundra and can fly the helicopter with his eyes closed.
I've been flying here all my life. It's not difficult for me. The weather conditions may be a bit trickier than in passenger aviation, but in every other way, it's just regular work. There's nothing heroic about it. I'm an ambulance driver. When you fly a helicopter, you shouldn't give them a hard touchdown. It's not a plane descending onto a concrete airstrip. You have to control a helicopter from the moment you take off until the moment you land, and everything in between should be done properly.
On the outskirts of the polar village lies the wreckage of a helicopter that crashed in 2005. The North can be very unforgiving of mistakes. The pilot had begun the turn for final approach to land, but was too close to the ground. In the fog, the helicopter's tail rotor hit the hill.
When we arrived, the crew were lying on the snow. They had been thrown out of the helicopter. The flight engineer had pelvic bruising, and the second pilot had a broken foot. It was hanging off, but everyone on board survived.
Air ambulance nurses, Zinaida Kayukova and Tatyana Ignatieva, consider the far north to be their home. They are reluctant even to think about leaving.
My ex-husband lives somewhere far away. He left the tundra many years ago. We haven't kept in touch. Men are weak, of course. They can't bear to live in such conditions. I believe that only a woman can withstand everything in this life.
Cold, aren't you? Good boy. And you're a good boy, too. You all love me now, don't you? Oh, don't.
While the no-fly weather continues, Tatyana Ignatieva calls on the patients she has delivered in the village.
Hello. Is Yelizaveta at home? Oh, yes, she is.
This baby is just 20 days old. Labor was particularly difficult, and the doctors fought for the lives of mother and son. First in the chum, then in the helicopter, and finally on the operating table in the hospital.
Good, he's a loud boy. Do you lay him on his stomach?
Yes.
Good. Oh, you like that.
I started feeling bad at 1 a.m., but I didn't tell anyone. I called the ambulance at 4 a.m. because by then I felt really terrible. The only thing I remember is my brother and husband carrying me. Everything after that was like in a dream.
Take him in your arms, show how beautiful he is. My job is a very rewarding one. It really makes me happy. When a new baby comes into this world, I'm overwhelmed with joy. It's so great, such a wonderful feeling. It fills me with energy. I think it's my job that keeps me going.
A new emergency call. Ildar is carrying the victim into the warmth of the helicopter. It's minus 50 degrees outside. Because of the weather, the crew has only been able to fly once today, to a deer breeder whose snowmobile overturned, causing a severe stomach wound.
I always worry until the moment he lands, until he comes back home, until he says everything is fine. Ildar is a hero because regardless of the weather, he flies to save other people's lives, because he actually took this position and came to the north in the first place.
Air ambulance nurses Ildar and Ravil share the same birthday, March the 16th. They met at medical school. Ildar was the first to come here to the far north, and Ravil followed some years later. Their wives moved to the north too.
It's an ice mine in permafrost. It's cut in the ice on a hill. In summer, people keep their fish and meat here. It was created partly by nature and partly by man. I needed adrenaline, adventure. I wanted to see what the north was like and test myself. When I brought some photos and videos back home, my family looked at them in terror. What? We're not going to live there.
Of course, 3 houses, deer, and nothing else.
Even the fact that there are no trees affects your mind in some way.
There's little in the way of entertainment in the village. But Ildar and his friends are never bored. They're the only musicians for many kilometers all around.
And she bowed to the dwellers of the chum and said, "Stop the storm, or my people and my parents will die." And the young man took a deerskin and his father's mallet and started beating the skin, and the storm stopped.
Siacha, ambulance. Yes, Sergei. Got it. The weather got better.
Do we have time?
We have 15 minutes.
Now at last, the crew is able to head for Mikhail Vanuita's chum, where they'll be able to offer help to his pregnant daughter-in-law.
How are you? Turn to your side, please. Come on, quick, quick. Do you usually have high blood pressure?
No, don't forget her heart disorder. It caused trouble for her obstetric history.
What do you want?
A boy.
Nadezhda, we're taking you with us. Don't worry, we have to.
Did you experience toxicosis while you were pregnant? Any headaches?
Nadezhda Vanuita is finally under a doctor's supervision.
When did it start moving? I'd say that you're due very soon.
The family prepares the deer to move across the tundra and waits for the young mother to return with her son, another future deer breeder.
Oh, sun, you warm us. Oh, sun, we love you. Sun, we always remember you. Thank you, sun, for rising once again.